let's bring it together. I am going to call on one group just to give us an example. And as I promised, hopefully you can see the slide of what I tried to give you as an example of the health disparity and what part of the healthcare system is responsible for it. And the next breakout session, which will be after lunch and after the second panel, I will put up a slide for you. Okay, so I'm just going to choose groups randomly. So let me go up to the top group. Okay, that was in the back right there. Can you tell me what was your health disparity? And, oh, you know what?
The first one we said was access to healthcare services.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let's give you a mic. Thank you. And can you tell me just your name?
My name is Pei Kui. And the first one we listed was access.
Could you hold the mic closer?
Access to healthcare services.
Could someone turn
I don't know if it's on.
Mic is on. Okay.
Yeah, it's on. It is on.
Okay.
It's on. Yeah. So the first one was, right, we have access to healthcare services. The second one was sort of resource deprivation sort of in local communities, like lack of resources in communities. The third was cardiovascular diseases or other chronic illnesses, or more generally, I guess, disease burden. The fourth was healthcare to health information and education. And the fifth we listed as sort of mental health. So that we would include things like substance abuse, addiction, a lot of stress-related diseases.
Okay, so just to make sure everybody heard, so the first was access to health care, lack of resources, cardiovascular disease treatment, 4, access to health education and info, and then mental health. Okay, and so what disparity did you choose out of the 5 to focus on?
Oh, we didn't do it that way.
Oh, that's okay.
That's what it,
on all of them.
yeah.
We focused on all of them. Well, maybe let's just go through and begin by talking about healthcare providers. How do healthcare providers cause these disparities?
Okay.
Oh, here, Mary.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Mary Louise again. Regarding like mental health, one of the things that was discussed among our group was saying like sometimes they assume that a person has addictions, so they don't look for an underlying issue like mental health or even try to treat it effectively. So therefore, they're just like putting band-aids on what they think the problem is instead of doing a deeper assessment.
Okay, so that's a great one. And so in terms of mental health, just this issue about are we actually getting to the underlying cause instead of just treating some of the other issues, which could be addiction, right? Beginning to actually treat the patient as a whole person and address all of those needs. Okay, let's look at healthcare institutions. Did you focus in part on that?
We did in terms of how, again, coming back to your concept earlier of location matters. We talked about the fact that even though you look in the communities in Cleveland area, you have 2 major systems, the access to those systems is more limited. If you are from the neighborhoods on the east side of Cleveland, you cannot just walk into the Cleveland Clinic. Doesn't work. Whereas the metro system has some community-based clinics where folks in the neighborhoods actually can access primary care, but even that, they have to be able to get to them. So you get down to fundamental things of things on bus lines. And even if they are, can the people afford to take the bus to get to them? So it really gets down to fundamental levels of access being very obvious as well as some of the more subtle things.
Right, and that happens in different cities, right? I'm from Chicago, I could say the same thing in Chicago as well. And so this issue about access are institutions available open in places where people need care and who lack care? Are they on the bus lines? Are they open during those particular hours? Is there an open door feeling, right? Because even though you have an open door, that doesn't mean that I feel like I'm necessarily welcome. And the layout and structure of healthcare, did you guys focus on that in any way? The structure of healthcare. So really looking at this issue of how our system is set up by ability to pay versus what people actually need. Did you guys focus on that in any way? I can take it. I'm always prepared. I'm a new teacher. I'm prepared to fill it in, right? And so, right, this question, we can talk about it in terms of mental health, right? We do not, as a country, really focus on mental health. And those who receive the services are those who can pay, and those who do not, or we push them in inappropriate places like nursing homes, and then we have issues between the elderly and the mentally disabled. And so the structure of healthcare causes some of some of these health disparities because of the way we are willing to focus and pay for and cover particular areas of healthcare. I just wanted to do one group to sort of give everybody else a sense of where we're going. Next time we break out, I want you to use one of the health disparities that you identified in this section and really then begin to move beyond just saying healthcare providers and say, is there some unconscious, conscious, racial reason for doing this? It could be neutral, right? It could be that it doesn't have a disparate impact on particular communities, okay? And I'll give you more information as we do the breakout following the next panel. So, right now we are 5 minutes behind, but it is time for lunch, okay? So please, you can leave. The lunch is right out in the rotunda. Get your lunch and come back because we have 2 lunchtime speakers who